And now I present to you some actual battle gameplay footage. Yes, that's right, folks. Creative Assembly has provided me with some raw, unedited battle gameplay footage. So I'm going to be bringing it to you all, casting it as if I were casting a multiplayer match in my typical fashion. A few caveats here before we get started. Obviously, this is a in-development game. What you see here is not final. Things are subject to change, and in particular, the unit balancing is absolutely still under review, so don't take anything here as gospel. But without further ado, let's get to Tzeentch versus Ogres today in a land battle from the perspective of Tzeentch. Put up a poll recently that asked about which battle you guys wanted to see, and this wasn't even one of the options, but enough people voted for Ogres, and I personally wanted to see Tzeentch in action, so I'm going to show you guys this one first. Tomorrow we'll have Khorne versus Tzeentch, and then finish out on Friday with Cathay versus Ogres. For some more big boys, get ready for all that. But for today, one thing to note about Tzeentch first before we get started. The helpful Creative Assembly employee is going to show us the army ability, which I did not talk about in my video about the Tzeentch roster. You can go ahead and check that out if you have not. Definitely do so to hear me talk about these units in depth and their stats and roles and everything, some comparisons. Anyway, for Tzeentch's army abilities here, you've got, as with some of the other Game 3 factions, 3 different levels of abilities. You gain the resource by casting spells with the Winds of Magic. For Tzeentch's army abilities, the other like Khorne and Ogres, you have to do different things to charge up these abilities. But here for Tzeentch, makes sense, casting spells. You definitely want to be doing that early on as much as you can throughout the battle. The first ability is a big bombardment, Storm of Fire, 100% armor piercing. This is one you may have seen in some of the preview battles, or even the trailers and such. Giant bombardment, very flashy, very cool. Next one is the Bolt of Change. It's another bombardment. Again, 100% armor piercing. Also gives sundered armor on contact with medium strike area. And the basic version gives you additional Winds of Magic. And this is quite nice if you're just looking to get out more spells from what you just casted. You know, you'll get this from casting spells, charging this up in the first place. It'll help you restore those Winds of Magic. Now, as the Creative Assembly employee deploys the army, we'll talk a little bit about roster army composition here. We've got Kairos Fate Weaver leading the way, Cultist and an Iridescent Horror, 1 Tzeentchian Soul Grinder and 2 Doom Knights, couple of Exalted Horrors, an Exalted Flamer, 1 Tzeentch Spawn. Now getting deployed, a couple of Tzeentch Forsaken as well, 2 units of Flamers, 2 Pink Horrors, 2 Screamers, and 2 Blue Horrors. So, a nice missile-heavy composition, as we would expect from Tzeentch. A few fast attack units as well, in particular. Those flying Screamers and the Doom Knights will be pretty important. There are a few Ogre range units out there in the distance. Can't see them very well right now, but yeah, the Creative Assembly player just getting all deployed here, ready to go. This is a Tzeentch map. It does have quite a few choke points, so I don't know that this is a map that you would see very often in multiplayer, but definitely looks very cool, certainly, like aesthetically. And now with the battle getting started, we'll see what the Ogres have, if we can. Definitely some Ogres, probably some Noblars as well. Kairos coming forward here, looking to start casting some spells early on, probably, if he can. That Locus of Change will be a nice little missile damage buff, but it looks like the Iridescent Horror, he's on the Burning Chariot, so he can kind of fly around and cast spells. Also has the ranged attack as well. I do see a Stonehorn there. We've got some Ogre Cavalry, Firebelly, Scrap Launcher, 1 Giant. Get some more cavalry there. We've got some Saber-Tooths. Or Saber Tusks, whatever they're called. It's going to take me a while to learn the new names of everything, but that's alright. Here comes a nice, what is that, Pink Fire Tzeentch spell. Tzeentch's Firestorm also going to be cast here, and you'll notice each time one of those spells were cast, the resource over on the far right is filling up. Here comes a nice triple Vortex. Vortexes tend not to do too much. versus monstrous infantry, but nice little triple vortex. I personally love how they leave a trail on the ground as well. You get like these 3 little swirly trails in a nice design. The Screamers are now going to come in here. They're already, in one case, attacking, it looks like, the Scrap Launcher, but they're both going to attack both the Scrap Launcher and the Stonehorn, try and tie them down. Actually, a pretty good move by the Creative Assembly employee. It must be said, this employee is not, let's say, high-level multiplayer player. It's just more of a regular person, which I think is actually pretty good indication for you know, the majority of players. I would say the vast majority of players are campaign only and never touch multiplayer, and maybe let's put it diplomatically and say that they, you know, might not have the experience of real-time live micro that multiplayer players would have, which is fine. But look at this overwhelming literal firepower from Tzeentch as the ogres come through a choke here, just getting blasted by the flamers, getting that warp flame contact effect. The pink horrors and the blue horrors also using their little shots. I love how you can easily differentiate too, like the blue shots, the pink shots from the different levels. It seems like we can get the side-by-side here. I don't know if the Exalteds have like extra pink, maybe, perhaps. But the firepower here is just so much for the ogres to try and deal with. They've got some man-eater pistols, they've got some lead belchers, but there's overwhelming firepower. Ogres do eventually land home, though. Nice cavalry charged into there. Going to get into some of the pink horrors. The Screamers definitely got sacrificed. You can see one of them, at least, now barrier gone, starting to disintegrate, or whatever it's called for demons. The barrier also down for the Chaos Spawn as well. Soul Grinder fighting in melee there against the Giant is not going to be very great. It looks like actually the Giant and the Fire Belly both are kind of 2v1ing that Soul Grinder there. Its barrier's still active somehow, though. I think, no, or maybe that's the Cultist. The Cultist is terrified, so definitely he's caught up in that situation there. But Forsaken getting in there, they should actually trade okay against some of the lighter armor stuff, but they'll definitely get hit pretty hard. The one, it's just barely barrier down, though, so that's the nice thing. You know, right now it's not super necessary for the Creative Assembly employee. They're winning anyway. But, you know, cycle charging with the Doom Knights and with, if you can, with the Soul Grinder, as many of the units which have the speed to be able to cycle charge, beneficial for them to do so to try and get that barrier recharged. But just more Winds of Magic being used there. We saw the bombardment come down as well. Doom Knights getting in, buttering that bread. Yeah, the Screamers were actually able to deal with the Scrap Launcher. It looks like he got routed off, but did end up coming back. Likewise, the Doom Knights come in and easily deal with the Lead Belchers there. Looks like we're going to have another Tzeentch's Firestorm. Honestly, probably going to do more friendly fire than anything if you were to cast it. Nope, looks like a blue fire of Tzeentch instead. Should give enough. Let's see. Yep, does give enough magic for that magic recharge ability once again. And the magic missile itself looks like it fells one man-eater, so that's not too bad. Things are looking fantastic for Tzeentch, though. Definitely no problems winning this battle. I mean, they did lose the Screamers. Both of them eventually crumbled away. And, you know, the regular blue horrors, you lost one of them. The Spawn are basically gone at this point. Technically still alive, but Cultists definitely got beat up pretty bad also. But, all things considered, I think the Ogre AI here focusing on Kairos quite a bit was potentially a mistake, but man, love those attack animations. Just the Soul Grinder in general seems like it's going to be an awesome unit, probably super powerful. A little bit of a regrowth potential here. Nope, Kairos doesn't care. He's just going to cast another Tzeentch's Firestorm because why not? It's a fun spell, even if it doesn't do a lot against monstrous infantry. Here we go. Yes. Mostly just getting blasted by the horrors there, so yeah, maybe in terms of battle difficulty, not the most difficult battle, but still, Ogre's AI put up as good of a fight as it can, I guess. Given the map situation and army compositions, I would say that Tzeentch had a pretty good advantage from the start here, but it is what it is, right? I would expect that out of all the matchups, this is probably one of the ones that's going to be tricky for Ogres, perhaps, because of all the fire damage, you know, impacting your ability to heal. And just in general, that the missile damage situation, I think ogres definitely aren't going to be able to outshoot Tzeentch. So it's an interesting matchup for sure. I'd love to know your guys' thoughts down in the comments below. But now here we go. The end of the battle, just to show it off. We're going to see the final tier bombardment. Oh yeah, looks absolutely amazing, and it's super powerful as well. I'd imagine if used correctly, even does kill a few of the ogres that it impacts, which is quite impressive. Man, that is so many missiles. That lasts a long time. That's going to be an awesome ability to use in campaign. So what did we learn here? Well, learned a little bit about Tzeentch's army abilities. The missile damage definitely does seem to be pretty real, but Tzeentch units, even with the barrier, are quite squishy. So you got to use that mobility as much as you can to try and keep the barrier recharging, rather than just sitting in sustained combat. But at the same time, you know, the missile troops will carry you quite a bit, and also the sort of light, fast attack flyers. I guess heavy, fast attack flyers in the case of the Doom Knights. Yeah, I like Tzeentch's army. I think it's going to be pretty good. It will probably be tricky to use in multiplayer. Like, I think it will be a pretty skill-dependent faction, but regardless, definitely very fun. Big thanks to Creative Assembly for allowing me to use this footage. That's going to be it for today. So if you want some more Cold War Warhammer 3 unedited battle gameplay, be sure to subscribe. Tune in for more coming very soon. Thank you all so much for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time.